Hi, welcome to APLCrafts Lazy Dye Studio. Today we're going to dye up 2 skeins of yarn, superwash merino, nylon, and lurex. And if you're unfamiliar with lurex, lurex is like a thicker silver strand than like stellina, so it's got more sparkle and shine in there. And today's theme is going to be holiday lights. Now I scoured Pinterest trying to find a picture that would be a really good inspiration photo, and I can't find anything. So we're just going to have to use our imaginations. So let's go over today's ingredients. You will need a dye pot dedicated for dyeing only, no food. Doesn't matter what shape it is, just make sure you can hold at least 2, 3, 4 skeins of yarn. Spoon, measuring spoons for dyeing and only dyeing. Paper towels, reusable or disposable gloves, an N95 mask, citric acid, notebook and pen if you want to write down the recipe. And today's colors, we're going to be using bright aqua, oxblood red, sapphire blue. This lighting is not all that great, sorry. Emerald green, Kelly green, and fluorescent fuchsia. And currently my yarn is soaking in cool water. It's just 2 skeins, like I said. I already have my ties in place. Make sure you do that before you soak your yarn. It makes it way easier. And this has been soaking for at least 30 minutes. So you want to make sure that your yarn is soaking for at least 30 minutes. We're going to start with 3 cups of water. I don't have any heat on yet, but I think I'm going to get that started. So we're going to put it on medium. And I'm going to add citric later. So right now what I want to do is make a bath of Kelly green. So we're going to put 1/8 of a teaspoon of Kelly green into this water, swish it around, and then put our skeins of yarn in here. I'm keeping the water low because we're going to do speckling, and I don't really want to take the water out and then put the yarn back in. I'm hoping that we can get away with not having to do that. So I'm going to put my mask on, and we're going to do 1/8 of a teaspoon of Kelly green. If you do not have 1/8 of a teaspoon, just kind of eyeball it. This is APLCrafts Lazy Dye Studio. So we're going to do 1/2 of a quarter of a teaspoon. And if you hear that scratching in the background, it's because my cats want to go outside and it's pouring rain. I'm going to put my gloves on. Okay, let's get started.
Go out. You know, outside. I don't want to deal with it.
When you use Kelly green, you want to be really careful because this color likes to go everywhere, and you don't realize it until way later. So be very careful with this color. It also takes a long time to exhaust. So just keep that in mind as well. It's a bleeder, so when you heat set it, you really want to make sure it stays in that heat for a long time, and you don't take it out until that water is very cold. All right, I'm gonna go get the yarn. Okay, let's see. Take my mask off. I don't care if this color hits all of the yarn evenly. It doesn't need to. I just want the color to hit the yarn. So I'm going to move this around. There's still some liquid on the bottom of the pan, which is fine. I think what we're going to do is we're going to add some water to this pan. So I'm going to put citric in that water. So I'm going to put, let's see, I'm going to do a teaspoon of citric acid and 1 cup of water and pour it over all of this. Stir. That way our yarn doesn't burn and we can get some more of that color spreading into the yarn. And that citric acid can help set this color too. Now we're going to let this set for at least 20 minutes. We're going to keep the heat on medium for now, but we're going to check it in 10 minutes to make sure the yarn's not too hot. I want to have this Kelly green sitting and setting into the yarn so that it doesn't bleed into anything else, because like I said, this color is a bear and I don't use it very often because it's such a pain in the butt. So we definitely want to make sure that we've got this color set before we do anything else on this yarn. So I'll be back in 10 minutes to give it a check. In the meantime, while that's cooking, if you have a small jar like this or a small bowl that you can use for dedicating it to dyeing, we're going to get our speckles ready. So we're going to mix our dye with citric acid. I'm going to put just a smidge of citric acid in this jar. Like a pinch. You know, I do actually have that. We talked about that in the last video, having a pinch. That little measuring spoon thing, that would be perfect for this. I don't know why I didn't get that out. It's hiding somewhere, I think. So what we're gonna do while that's cooking, we're gonna layer our speckles. So let's do emerald green, and I think actually I'm going to combine them because this is going to get really messy if we keep doing this individually with one container. So I think what I want to do is find that pinch measuring spoon. This is what I'm talking about. And someone in the comments said you could find these on Amazon, so you might want to give that a look. Alright, so we're going to do, let me get my mask on. And my gloves. I'm going to do like kinds because I don't want to muddy this and make it like a not good color. So we're going to do a pinch of emerald. And I think even then I'm going to do a half of a pinch. So we're really working with small amounts here. So I don't know if you can see that. Just half of that size. Put that in there. And then we're going to do half of sapphire blue. I've actually never done this before, so this will be really interesting. I think it'll work. I'm learning right along with you. But that's what yarn dyeing is all about. It's about experimentation and having fun. It's not that deep. Don't take it that serious. Okay, so now we're going to stir that around in the citric. And our goal, once we flip this yarn, it's been cooking over here, our goal is to get just a little bit of dye and citric acid into our fingers and just lightly go over the yarn. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So I'm going to cap this. We're going to go back to the yarn because it's been 10 minutes. Because I did actually have that cooked before I came over here. And we're going to flip this yarn so it doesn't burn. Because like I said, this color is a bleeder. You really got to make sure it heat sets. Okay. Now that this side is hot and the other side is cooking, we're going to go ahead and start our speckling. So I'm going to get our container. And I'm just pressing my finger into that dye and just getting a little bit of speckle on my finger. And I'm going to take this and start to lightly go over it. You're not going to see anything on the yarn right away. It's one of those things where once it hits that water and it starts to saturate that dye, then you'll start seeing the speckles. So really at this point, less is more. And just kind of go over all of the yarn. Rub your fingers together lightly so you can get those speckles on the yarn. And then in between dipping into that dye, give it a minute. No, literally, give it a few seconds. See if any of that dye starts emerging before you add more, so you don't want to overwhelm this dye. Overwhelm the yarn, sorry. And if any of this breaks, hey, great, because this is the perfect time for these colors to break on each other. It's holiday lights, anything goes. We want all the colors. We just don't want it to look muddy. So I'm starting to see some speckling. It's very dark, so I'm going to guess that the emerald green is really standing out. That blue is standing out. I'm almost out of this color. I'm going to turn this around so I can get this area because I haven't really gotten over here very much. But the citric acid, when you're speckling, really helps give it those fine, really fine speckles. I don't know if you can see that. But you're getting really fine speckling in there. That's what that citric acid does for you. Alright, we are done with this color. I would encourage you to give this a little bit of a rinse and a wipe out. And then we're going to do fuchsia and blood red, but not together. So I'm going to clean up and then we're going to come back and flip this. We want to make sure these speckles sit on here for a little bit, so maybe about a minute or two. We're going to come back and then flip this because I don't want these speckles to bleed. So we really want to make sure that these speckles sit on this yarn for a little bit before we do that. Okay, they sat for a minute. I'm going to do a little test and make sure that these speckles aren't going to bleed. I really don't want that. And all you're going to do by testing it is just take your spoon and kind of dip it into the water, whatever water is around, just to make sure it's not spreading, just like a small area. And I'm doing it all over and it's fine. So we're going to take this and flip it. And when you flip it, try to make sure that the sides that have all the speckling are face down as best you can. It doesn't have to be an exact science. Now my thought is, when we flip this over again, if I don't see any blue or aqua, then we'll just go ahead and do that separate. But I wanted to see what it was like to do them all together and see if we get any breaking. So that was an experiment. But now I'm going to go ahead and put that little bit of citric acid back in that container, and we're going to do a half of a pinch of fuchsia. Okay, same thing. Just get a little bit of that on your finger and then just start sprinkling. Oh yeah, I hit it right away. So I'm definitely going to make sure I go really light here because I don't want to overwhelm my yarn. But yeah, that color is hitting right away. Gotta wait a moment, make sure all those speckles emerge before I add more, so I know what areas I need to get. Okay. My heat is still on medium. Okay, I'm going to do one more pass and then that's it. Because I have a lot of fuchsia speckles here. Okay, that's it. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with the oxblood red. Just a little bit of citric acid and half of a pinch of oxblood red. Make sure you mix it really well. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and start speckling. It's kind of hard to see it there for a second, but now I'm seeing it. It's hitting right away. I was just kind of mixing in with that fuchsia, so, oh yeah, all right, definitely want to be careful. Make sure you go lightly because less is more. Try not to hit any water areas that are showing up. I've hit a couple over here. I don't know if you can see that. I hit some over here. I'm trying not to hit that because I don't want smears of color on my yarn. I just want speckles. Okay. Let that sit for a second. In fact, I think I'm going to let this sit for a minute, get those speckles settling, and then we're going to flip this over and see what that other side looks like and if we need to separate our aqua and our sapphire and our emerald green. Okay, it's been a solid minute. I'm going to do a test and see if I have any smearing going on or if the speckles have set. I think we might be okay. Oh, no, not over there. We're good over here. Not over there. Alright, so I'm going to let that sit for a little bit longer, maybe 30 seconds. The reason why we flip so much especially when you have a smaller container like this, or actually really it doesn't matter any kind of container. If you're doing cooking on the stove top, you're having more heat on the bottom than you are on the top. So you're using that residual heat to help set your speckles, but then eventually it's not as hot up here as it is down there. So we're flipping it when the yarn is ready to be flipped, when all of our color is set, so that that heat can really get into that dye and heat set that, and so that we can also work on the bottom part that was getting all that heat and setting on the bottom. So you're just kind of rotating, if you will. Now, if you've got, I don't even know what they're called, but like actual dye studios will have, like, you know, kitchen equipment where like you can put in whole restaurant pans and cook your yarn. That's a whole different way of dyeing. That is definitely not small 2-3 skein type of dye. That's a whole nother beast. Okay, it's been 30 seconds. Let's see. I think this is good enough. All right, so let's flip this. Again, you don't have to be exact about it, but just try to get the side that you just dyed or put speckles on touching the bottom as best as you can. Okay, so what do we have going on here? I do see that green, but that's all I see. So we are definitely going to have to separate this. That experiment did not work, which is fine. I don't normally do stuff like that, and so I wanted to see what it would look like if I put them together and see if it would separate in the pan, but it didn't really do that. So, you know, now we know. So again, I'm going to take a little bit of citric acid and I'm going to do a half a pinch of, let's do bright aqua. I don't think I'm going to do any more emerald green because I do see the dark green speckles in here and I don't want a lot. I just wanted it there for some depth. So, all right, this is mixed. I'm going to add that aqua in here. There we go. So if you're writing down the recipe, just make sure you don't add them all together like we did in the beginning. Separate them out. Unless you want to add them all together. That's up to you. It's your yarn. I'm just waiting for that aqua to emerge so I know what spots I didn't hit. Turn this around a little bit. Okay. I played around with the idea of throwing orange in here, like a cayenne red, which is kind of on the orange side, or what else did I have? Saffron, which is definitely more on the orange side. I don't know. I'm very much on the fence about adding that color in here because I'm not sure if it would really pop out or if it would just muddy the colors. So I think I'm happy with the amount of aqua in here. What else do we want to do? We're going to do that sapphire. So let me go ahead and get that ready. Make sure you mix it really good because some of these dyes like to clump. So, alright. Let's do sapphire. Now, if you've noticed, I've got all the pink and the red on one side and the green and blue and aqua on the other side. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to see what it looked like. But you know, I may end up changing my mind and putting aqua on both sides. I mean, not aqua, the fuchsia and the red on both sides. But I'm not 100% on that decision yet, so I may just leave it on the one side. Yeah, it was definitely a better decision to do them separate. Which I knew from the beginning, but like I said, just wanted to try it out. Sometimes you just have to experiment because you're not going to know what you're getting unless you try it. You know what I mean? Alright, let me wait and see what this blue does. I do have some heavier areas of blue, so I want to make sure I don't hit those again. There, there, here. Okay. Alright. I'm going to let that sit for about a minute or two, and then we're going to test it and see if it's ready to flip. Okay, it's been a solid minute, so let's do a swatch test and see if we have any bleeding. A little bit over there. This side is good. I don't have any spreading. Okay, it looks good, but I want to give it another 20-30 seconds before I flip it. Okay, let's go ahead and give this a flip. And we have some areas that don't have any speckling at all. And again, I'm on the fence whether or not I want to add speckles to those areas, because sometimes having that negative space is a good thing. Unless you're like one of those people who really, really loves your speckles, then go for it. I'm liking the way this looks. I kind of want to add saffron. I'm really nervous about adding saffron. But part of me is saying we really need to have that pop of color. So I'm going to go ahead and grab saffron spice, and we're going to add citric acid like we were doing, and half a pinch of color. Saffron spice. Alright, here it goes. I'm very nervous about this, but I'm hoping it'll be alright. I'm going to try a little area first, because if I don't like it, I'm not doing it. I'll try over here. And then I'll give it a minute and see. It took the color right away. So, yeah, that's what it needed. Okay. Pop of color, saffron spice. Alright, I'm going to hit those areas that I don't see any speckling. Then we're going to add the saffron spice. Okay, less is more. Sometimes you just want to speckle the crap out of something, but you gotta hold back sometimes too. So I see plenty of color on here. I'm gonna let that sit for 2 minutes, do a swatch test, and then we're gonna flip this over. And we're just gonna use up the rest of this dye because I don't wanna save it. So you get a cover on it. Always cover your unused dye. You don't want particles flying all over the place. Okay, let's do a swatch test. That area is good. Nope. Alright. Not all ready yet. We're going to give it another 30 seconds to a minute. Alright, let's test these speckles again. I think we are good. I'm hitting these pretty hard. Alright, so we're going to flip this over. This will be the last time we flip over, I promise. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to use the rest of that orange, that saffron spice. Very gingerly though. I don't want to put too much speckle on here because there's a lot of speckle on here now. And I feel like if I put too much saffron spice on here, it's going to overwhelm it. So I'm just going to hit a couple of the areas that have almost nothing. And then that's it. I'm going to save the rest of this if I have any left. So it's always good to save your jam jars, y'all. They're perfect for this. Okay, that's it. Not adding anything else. It's done. I'll let that sit for 2 minutes. And I lied, we're going to flip it one more time because we did add speckles. So you just want to make sure those speckles heat set. So we'll be back in 2 minutes. Alright, swatch. Whoop, that was not good. Okay. I hit that a little too hard and it spread. Everything else is setting though. That one spot. Damn. I don't like that. I don't like that. Yep, alright. Let me leave it alone. Okay, let's try again. Alright. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off the heat. And we're going to flip this one more time and we're going to let it cool. We're not going to touch it anymore. I'm going to leave it alone. Let it get cold. Yeah, that one's skein. I guess I went heavy with the orange because it's, this one, fine. This one smears, so that's a bummer. That's okay, it happens. We just try to do the best we can. So I'm gonna leave it, let it cool, and then I will see you at the sink. I have to apologize for the lighting today. It's very overcast out. It's going to get ready to pour soon, and so the lighting is just going to be, have the overhead light on. That's all I have for in here. But here's the final result. So it's probably going to show a little bit weird on the screen because it's Kelly green, and Kelly green is a lot like purples and blues where it messes with the camera a lot. So I will try to do my best in editing, but it's like a very bluish green on screen, on my screen anyway. But this is the final result. So we've got a little bit of white going on over here, and some darker and light patches, which is what we were going for. We didn't want to have a total immersion in anything even going on. So we have that, and then I'll bring you in closer for the speckles. I've decided that I have to change the name of this yarn. I wanted to call it Holiday Lights, and I started off this video calling it Holiday Lights. But the problem is that my speckles were so fine that I didn't get the pop that I was looking for. So, and this happens a lot, you know, when hand dyers do stuff and they have this idea in their head, and then like the first try is kind of wonky, and then the second try they get it right. And I feel like for me, that's exactly what this is. This is the first try with the idea that I had. It's so close, but not quite what I wanted. So I think next time, if I do this again, which I probably will, I will lay on more speckling. So let's take a look at what's going on here with the speckles. So you can see we've got that orange, that saffron, and then we have some pink in here, that fluorescent fuchsia. Some more fluorescent fuchsia and the saffron. Don't know where the blue is. Here's some blue in here. There's some of that sapphire. Some more sapphire over here. Let's turn this inside out and see if we can see anything here. Okay, this looks like it might have been that mix that we did initially with the emerald and aqua and sapphire. This over here. And there's some more colors here. So yeah, it's super fine, which, you know, was what we were going for. I think because less is more, I didn't want to overwhelm the yarn, but now I know that going in, if I want to do this a second time, that I can definitely go heavier. So let's see what this looks like wound up. And here we go with it all skeined up. I really hope this color shows off well after editing, because it's really pretty and it doesn't have that bluish green going on. It's just a very nice Kelly green, minty green, with that variance there with the light colors and the light patches and the darker patches. So, all right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video and you took some notes if you wanted to. And if you do want to play around with that and make some holiday lights and not... Oh, I don't think I even mentioned what this color was going to be, did I? I did not. Season's Greetings. I'm going to call it Season's Greetings because holiday lights, in my mind, need more color, and there's not enough color there. So this is going to be called Season's Greetings, and I will have it listed in the shop sometime this week, hopefully before the end of the week. So there you go. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed. And if you are in the States, have a great Thanksgiving weekend and stay safe. See y'all later. Bye.